So good evening and welcome to, I don't want to say, but I believe it's probably the nicest beach in Ireland, and it is the Murder Hole Beach up in Donegal. Not as sinister as the name might suggest, but we've come up tonight for sunset. We've been up here for a few hours and you just see down behind me, that is the beach down in there. Now we've come up actually onto the headland just above it. We've been down on the beach earlier, just shooting like a few abstracts, a few big waves. It's the sort of beach where you can get really easily caught out with the tide. So we've just been kind of having a bit of fun down there earlier. We got soaked, we nearly had a bag wash away, but we've made it up here and it's just approaching golden hour now. You can probably even see the sun just on my face there. So the light is starting to get really nice. The only thing is there's literally probably zero clouds in the sky, but hopefully if the light is nice then it'll make up for it. But yeah, I did a video here probably a few years ago where I was actually still shooting Fuji at the time, so that was probably at least 3 years ago, and conditions were a little bit different back then, but it's really good to be back. A lot busier than it was back then. It was a bit more of a hidden gem. Probably only photographers and locals knew about it, but there's definitely a lot more people about today, which I guess is good, but it also means it's a little bit more tricky to get some nice shots on the beach with nobody in them. But anyway, yeah, that's a discussion for another day. But yes, we're here, so we're in golden hour, and I'm just gonna get my first composition set up. So yeah, we're just waiting for some better light at the minute. I'm quite happy with the composition I found. We've got some lovely rocks on the left hand side of the frame which are getting lit by the sun, so they're kind of coming up a really nice golden colour. Got a few little bits of rocks in the foreground which are just kind of helping to lead the eye in, and then we've got the two bays of the beach, and then obviously the main part of the headlands up on the top left hand side of the frame. The sun is over to my right hand side, and what I'm hoping is that as it starts to get a little bit lower to the horizon, it's going to light up a little bit more of the bay here. It is quite diffuse, so it must be quite hazy out there because the light is not extremely strong. It's quite soft, but it's really nice light. Now, filter wise, I've decided not to go with the polarizer because whenever I was polarizing it, because I'm shooting right out at 16mm, the top left of the frame, whenever I had it on full polarization, it was coming out quite dark, and then the right hand side of the frame, because that's where the light's coming in, was actually quite bright. So I've decided to take the polarizer off, and I've currently got a 6-stop on and also a grad, so I'm getting in around about 8 seconds of an exposure at the minute. So what that's actually doing is it's helping to blur out the water, but it's also helping to blur the movement of the people down on the beach, so hopefully they will pretty much vanish, or at least that's the plan. But yeah, such an amazing location, and I've shot this before and I've probably shot pretty much the same composition here before, but I suppose it's one of those things as a photographer, you're always going back to try and improve on what you had before. And obviously I don't think I've ever actually seen the tide in as far as this, so the shots hopefully I'm going to get tonight will still be quite different. Even though the composition is fairly similar, the shots will probably be quite different to what I've had before. Yeah, so I've moved just a few feet to the side, and what I've actually done, I've zoomed right in now to 35mm, and I've decided to try and, because the headlands here, and there's a lovely little watchtower just sitting right up on top of the cliffs, and the headlands are so gorgeous here, I've decided to kind of exclude all of the foreground and zoom right in. And what we have is we've got a lovely almost like a V-shaped sweep of the beach, because you can imagine that at the minute it almost looks like there's two beaches on either side of the headland, and they're kind of meeting in the middle where the waves are coming in, so they're creating this V in the sand. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to use that as a lead-in line, so it's kind of sweeping in and then sweeping back in towards the headland. And at the minute I'm actually going to take this grad off because it's actually not making any kind of difference in the sky whatsoever. But the light is quite deceiving because it looks quite hazy, and then all of a sudden you'll just notice it starting to get a little bit brighter, and then it'll disappear and then it'll get brighter again. So with the 6-second exposure, then you're looking at it on the screen and you're like, wow, I didn't realize there was actually that much light in the shot. But I'm just taking a few of these, kind of trying to time it as the waves come in and then start to recede out, so we've got really nice movement. But yeah, quite different for me because, as I say, I've shot this before, but normally, you know, I shoot 16mm, I shoot wide, I shoot the bigger vista. So hopefully this will be a little bit more of a unique shot for me from this location. Okay, so we have decided to head back down onto the beach. We're probably about 20 minutes from sunset, and I don't actually think things are going to get much better light-wise, but we might get a couple of shots down on the beach, kind of shooting out towards the sun because it's quite soft, so we should be able to balance the exposure okay. So I think we'll head down below and have a good nosy for a composition. Yeah, so I think this is probably the biggest mistake we've made all night coming down to the beach here, because we literally have no foreground. There's no cloud in the sky. There's a little bit of colour at the horizon, but I just really find it hard to get a composition here. Whenever we came down, the only part of the beach where we could actually shoot, there was a guy and his girlfriend, and she was running in and out of the water in a bikini, and he was filming her, and you're like, okay, so where else are we meant to shoot here? Because this is a little bit awkward. So they have thankfully disappeared, but I'm just really struggling here. I'm just playing about with a few long exposures, kind of like 4 or 5 second exposures. I think the best of tonight's images were definitely earlier on when we were up on top of the headland. I don't know whether there's any point in trying to run back up there again, because at the minute the sun's going to be out of our frame. So yeah, I think I might just play about here a little bit and just actually enjoy the sunset and just be happy that I've been out on an amazing night.